Hello, my name is Holton Jepson. Just a little bit about myself. I graduated from Dixie State University with my bachelor's in accounting. I'm currently working for a development called Stuckey Farms down here in Washington, Utah, as the accountant slash estimator slash whatever other hat my boss wants to put on my head while I'm there during work hours. But really, it's been a fun and informative job. But enough of that, I should probably get on to my presentation, which is the Boeing Company. I'm going to start us off with the rich history behind the man that made things happen, William E. Boeing. And I really think this is important because the company has really followed his path in creating the world's largest aerospace company. And I'll explain that a little bit further during this presentation. And then after his history, then I'll talk to you a little bit about the current CEO's background. And then I'm going to get to what's really important and talk to you about some social and market relationships that have really been a benefit to the company, at least for now. And this was discussed in Predictably Irrational. So anyways, William E. Boeing. Boeing is really one of those companies with a rich history, and William E. Boeing was his father actually came from Germany when he was 20 years old, and he actually started as a farm boy, but it didn't last long because he joined forces with a man in the lumber industry. This man actually became his father-in-law. And so kind of ask yourself what's so significant about Boeing's father. He did really well for himself, and he purchased a lot of land that included mining rights. These mining rights really did put a small fortune, and when I say small, for the time, $1 million in these mining rights was a pretty big deal. So William actually he was a very rich man from the start, and he was definitely one of those men who kept opening doors into new things, but I don't believe it was to see which was more profitable. I think he would open doors based on his latest passion, and then he kept searching for more passion. When he moved out to Washington State because of the land that his father had purchased, he started in the logging business. It really helps to have money when you like to open new doors. And after building a yacht and a large home in one of the wealthy areas of Washington State, he took a ride in a hydroplane and decided that he would make a better plane. The upfront cost of this new door open would be large due to the fact that a few dozen engineers were hired to make the plane better, and he also purchased a wind tunnel. So yeah, it definitely helps to have money. William might have been prone to open to too many new doors, but the fact that he was a perfectionist and consumed large amounts of information as a hobby would actually help him as he continues his expansion. In 1915, the world's largest aerospace company was actually born. The company started in the mailing business, being the first to complete an international trek in the mailing industry, which was to Canada. But just after World War I, the company was struggling. They decided they had to diversify to keep the company afloat. They added a few more products to their manufacturing lines, including a line of furniture, phonograph cases, and fixtures for a corset company. They actually began making profits again while making repairs on military aircrafts. William was very savvy in technological advances and kept up with the innovations throughout the company. He won a very large bid of 26 airplanes for an airmail route to San Francisco, just because he used a new system of air-cooled engines instead of water-cooled engines, which actually kept the price down on his airplanes. So this was the first real order for the company, and Boeing himself actually had to leverage his personal wealth to complete the project, um, which he was more than willing to do. On June 20th, 1934, he was awarded the Daniel Guggenheim, sorry I couldn't pronounce it, Medal for Aeronautical Advancement, which was the same year that he retired from the company. Even in his retirement, Boeing was very innovative and continued to update his yacht to have the most updated technology. He was the first person to have a two-way radio installed on a ship and radar. Fancy side note, the radar came from his brother-in-law who worked for Boeing. He was part of the invention of the polar bear fly for fishing salmon. He also began breeding purebred horses and ended up placing 5th in the nation in racing. Boeing never really stepped away from the industry though, working as a consultant when the company needed him. One of his dreams that I don't believe he ever realized was to create a boat plane. The company began, and the Boeing company was becoming one of the largest aerospace companies in the world and has greatly diversified in their own industry. They have closed the doors on the furniture, phonograph cases, and corsets, and picked up large diverse lines in commercial airlines, defense aeronautics, and space exploration products. They are diverse in their field for sure. So now we get into the current CEO, who is Dennis A. Muhlenberg. He's 53 and he oversees the strategic direction of the Chicago-based $94.6 billion aerospace company with more than 150,000 employees across the United States and in more than 65 countries. Boeing is the world's largest aerospace company and top U.S. exporter. It is the leading manufacturer of commercial airplanes, military aircraft, and defense, space, and security systems. It supports airlines and U.S. and allied government customers in more than 150 nations. This is definitely a different company than what Boeing saw before he passed away. Muhlenberg is a native to Iowa. He holds a bachelor's degree in aerospace engineering from Iowa State and a master's degree in aeronautics and astronautics from University of Washington. He actually started with Boeing in 1985 and he held management positions in various regions. As CEO, he's relatively new as of July 2015, but he is a veteran with the company. So he's had a lot of experience through the ranks. So now that we've got this taken, let's step into market versus social relationships. Because of the rich history, it is not hard as an employee of Boeing to feel like you are part of something big. Personally, I believe that it would be easy to put my heart and soul into a company like this. That's not saying much because I put my heart and soul into my career. Boeing himself also created relationships with all of those around him and made them feel like they were part of something grand. The Boeing company today keeps this tactic with their employees. According to Daniel Ariely, who wrote Predictably Irrational, there are two different types of relationship a business can create with their employees. Boeing International has created what is called a social relationship with their employees. The difference between the two relationships, social and market, is that social relationships make the people involved feel like family. As an employee, a person would be willing to put in long hours on occasion because they feel like they are part of a team and they trust the business to take care of them. Market relationships revolve around the business, creating a type of barrier between the employer and the feeling of the employee. For example, when an employee receives a reduction in salary, when a market relationship is involved, that employee will treat it as a business transaction, whereas the same situation would be a stab in the back from the employer when a social relationship has been cultivated. I have previously stated that Boeing has created a social relationship with their employees. The fact that backs this idea up are that Boeing offers many benefits that a normal employer would not necessarily offer. The first benefit that makes a person feel more like a team is a military and veteran engagement that Boeing offers. Everyone knows that it is a hard transition to leave military life and start civilian life. I actually I joined the National Guard when I was 17, and it is true there's not really a transition unless you go to school. It really is also hard to find a person in this country who doesn't know or is related to military personnel. This act has set Boeing apart as a company that cares about our troops, and that creates more of a personal bond with the company. Second, whether you have a child in elementary school or one running off to college, Boeing has offered education at every level learning. They are determined to help new innovators reach their potential. Boeing has created an atmosphere that nourishes the social relationship between the business and its employees. But how does it handle its marketing tactics? Boeing is not necessarily selling a product that everyone can buy. For example, Boeing had a contract with an executive branch of the government to build a new Air Force One that would have cost the government above $2 billion. There are not a lot of people that can afford something like that, but there are a lot of people that ride in something like that through United Airlines and other companies that offer flights. The company needs to keep a good reputation of its planes to be able to sell to the companies that have commercial flights. A long reputation of quality speaks for itself and actually offers the other companies a chance to market using that reputation. The social marketing tactics creates relationships with people that will make them fly Boeing, even though it costs a little bit more. Also, the people who are affected by this type of marketing will recommend Boeing to all their friends and family, creating a network. So the social relationship in Boeing's situation has really helped the company. And actually, that's my presentation for the night. I will be posting a second presentation tonight as well. And I thank you for listening. Please post with questions.